Psychedelic. That's better. Hi, welcome, Ian Lee versus Radio. This is podcast number 5. The sound's going to be a little bit rubbish because I am recording it in my hotel room in Birmingham, and I stay at. I've got to be careful how I say this. It's a shithole, and the reason I do it, I'm paying for it. Thanks very much. The reason that I'm doing it is partly because it's cheap, and I like cheap. Partly because it's near work, but also I sort of like the romantic notion of staying in a hotel that's a little bit crappy. I feel like I'm a tortured Parisian artist. And it really is grim. 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, I came in and the room, it hadn't been cleaned. Well, it had been cleaned. The sheets had been changed on the bed. But there were half-empty beer bottles and wine bottles. Lots of people use this hotel if they're coming up here for a stag or a hen weekend. And there were dirty towels, and it was grim. And then the week after, there were no towels. Anyway, so I'm staying here. I'm doing the WM shows, the BBC WM show. I do one on a Friday at 2 and one on a Saturday at 10 in the morning. And I love them, and they're going really, really well. And I'm full of anxiety and self-loathing and self-doubt at the moment because, contracts are coming up, and I've got this tour coming up, and being in a hotel room on my own drives me nuts. There's nothing, to add to the loneliness apart from being in a hotel room on your own and feeling worried. And I'm getting worried about this tour that's coming up. Man, I'm genuinely, I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm dreading it. I've never done, so here's the thing. I've never done a solo show before. I did, I did sort of 15, 20 minutes of stand-up back in the day, and I've compared shows. Comparing is easy, because you haven't really got to do a lot. You just got to kind of chat to the audience and engage them. You don't need material and stuff. So I can do that, and some of you will know I used to host a variety night. I used to run a monthly variety night in Camden called Set the Agenda that was wonderful. Until it started becoming really hard work, and I kind of stopped enjoying it. But up until then, it was a lot of fun. Up until I stopped enjoying it, it was a lot of fun. That's a stupid thing to say. Where's the microphone on this thing, by the way? I'm recording this on my laptop, and I haven't got... Is that it? I don't know. It don't matter. I'll bring a microphone next time. So I've done that. But I've never done a solo show. I've done hour-long shows in Edinburgh. I did a couple with Mackenzie Crook and one with Mackenzie and Mitch Ben, and I've done a few things like that. I've never done a solo show, carried a show on my own. And this has somehow evolved into a 90-minute show. Jesus. And I've never done a tour. So, I turned 42 a couple of weeks ago. This is exactly what I need to be doing at a time of life when I'm all right for money and my career is pretty much, it is what it is. What I need is a thing that's making me, doubt myself and hate myself and dread doing it. And I'm really looking forward to it. But actually I'm not, and I'm dreading it. And I hope you understand that contradiction. I'm terrified. I'm really terrified. What if no one comes? Well, some of the venues are sold really, really well. Birmingham, the Mac, is, guys, you better get a ticket soon because both shows in that evening are almost sold out. There are a few tickets each. And some of the others are sold really well. I mean, the Birmingham one's not until October and it's almost sold out. Some aren't selling brilliantly. Swindon, last time I checked, wasn't doing great. Oh, I had a nice guy email me and I can't get my emails here because there's no Wi-Fi in the rooms. I have to go down to the bar to upload this online. Some guy emailed me and said, look, this Swindon gig, is going to be cancelled? Because I've got to get my in-laws to look after the kids. I doubt it'll be cancelled. I suspect it'll be all right. And it's a cracking venue. I love the venue in Swindon. I've been there a couple of times to see shows. I saw Dennis LeCorrier, the voice of Dr. Hook. But I don't know. So this is... It's a really odd career that I have found myself in, considering I have low self-esteem and low self-worth issues, although it turns out most people do in this business. So I'm worried that people won't come. I'm worried that it's not funny. I'm worried that it's a bit geeky. I've got to warn you now, it isn't stand-up. It's not a stand-up show. It's me talking. I mean, I'm standing up, but it's not stand-up comedy. It's about 90 minutes plus a 10, 15-minute interval for those of you arranging babysitters. I've had a few people asking that, which is really sweet. Oh, fucking hell. I don't know. Is it funny? I don't know. I think so. Is it interesting? I don't know anymore. I just don't know. And it's just hit me today. I've had a really weird day with a weird meeting. And then I interviewed Peter Talk from the Monkees. And I've yet to nail a really good interview with that guy. I've had a great interview with Nesmith, a couple of brilliant interviews with Dolenz. And I've yet to nail Talk. I just can't get the vibe right. Just can't get the vibe right, and then something weird happened at the end, and I'd like to think it was a technical fault. And that's kind of just thrown me off kilter a bit. Anyway, welcome to my fun podcast. So I've asked you, I've just tweeted actually that I am doing this, and have you got any questions? So let's have a look at the questions that have come up. Matthew Lockwood says, can I touch your face? Yeah, of course you can, lover. Phil asks, have you ever worked with a producer you hated and why? Don't have to mention any names. Have I worked with a producer I've hated? I've been blessed with some brilliant producers, and the one I've got now, Catherine, is the best for me. She's great. But Eloise and Agent Chris have always got very, very special places in my heart. I created magic with those guys. We did some really fun stuff, and I think we learnt a lot from each other. Producer I've hated, that's a strong word. I didn't particularly get on with my first producer at LBC, Lady Steph. And Davis and I at Absolute Stroke Virgin had... we had issues. Nice guy. I remember it really pissed me off one day. We had Frank Sybottom, and he obviously didn't get Frank. And not everyone did get Frank, and that was part of Frank's beauty, is that my sister hated Frank, and that's great. But Davis was kind of telling me during the interview that he didn't like it. And I just think, oh, piss off, that's rude. It's rude, amongst anything else. So that's that question. Edward Adu says, when will Ali G get the chance to meet Tim Westwood? I think they did meet, didn't they? Weren't they? Did they? I think Ali G did Tim Westwood, but it just didn't work, so they didn't show it. There were quite a few they didn't show. He also asked BBQ, or hot and spicy chicken wings. Oh, barbecue every time. If you get out of bed the wrong side or start the day badly, how do you motivate yourself to remain upbeat on air? I don't always, Rob. Have you never listened? Sometimes I'm really fucking grumpy on air. I was really grumpy and a little bit rude on Wednesday, first day in the new studio. Loads of things were going wrong. I was tired anyway. I wasn't in the best of moods. And I kind of acted a little bit like a petulant, spoilt child. And, yeah, I'm sorry for that. What do I do? Oh, sometimes, can I say this, guys? Yeah, sometimes I have a little pray-up. Cheeky little pray-up. Sometimes that works. Ian says, Julio, can you get Eloise on a podcast? Yeah, of course I can. I'll give her a call. Oh, Paul, this is nice. This is geeky, isn't it? And the show, the live show, Iain Lee versus Radio, first date, 8th of July in Maidenhead, Norden Farm Arts Centre. It's kind of me telling my story about being in radio and working in radio, and as well as playing some funny clips. Helen Behind the Glass was one of my tutors at university. What was she like? Yeah, she was brilliant. It took us a while, I think, to suss each other out. Helen Behind the Glass, she worked with me at LBC, has a very dry sense of humour, and I interpreted it. If I remember correctly, I think I may have interpreted it as being slightly standoffish, when actually she is a delightful, warm, wonderful human being and is very, very funny, really wicked sense of humour. And she had to put up working with one of the biggest twats at LBC, and I'm not talking about me. What Where do you stand on the corned beef and bird's eye potato waffle? Lockers, would you sod off? Lino says, how much is the room service burger? Can I have one, please? And chips and at Orange Cresta. Well, they don't do room service here. They don't have room service. This is how low rent this hotel is. There's no room service. If I want something, I've got to go down and get it myself. Right, let me see. Any more questions? Just tweeting. Any more questions? They've all been crap so far. I will answer anything. I'm sure you know as well that there is a BBC podcast you can get. I wanted to do a WM podcast because I think the WM show is kind of closer to the old LBC stuff. But the BBC is weird. I love the BBC. I hate the BBC. It's weird, man. And they'll only let me have one podcast. And there was talk of combining the two stations, but I'm really quite keen to keep the two separate. I think they're completely different shows, so I would rather keep those two separate. Scott Balcony is texting me about the t-shirts. There will be t-shirts on sale on the balconyshirts.co.uk website. Not yet. Well, obviously there are shirts there. It's a t-shirt website. But he's going to make some for the show, and he's also going to I'll have some for sale at the venues as well, at the dates. That sounds like a sensible thing to do. It feels also incredibly arrogant. Phil says, if you can find the Hell Mess clip amongst the new office, would love to hear it again. I don't think I've got Hell Mess. No. Why does that not play? Hang on a second. Oh, blimey. Hang on a minute. Oh! No. Oh, okay. No. Stephen says favourite cheese. I like a strong cheddar. Don't fuck around with the cheeses. I like cheeses. Me, Scoins, and Boyle went to a brilliant cheese restaurant in London. Oh, man, they just serve cheese. It was a cheese restaurant. John says, why were you so affected by the Monkees, do you think? Because they're brilliant, because the first record I ever got given was the Monkees album without a cover, and the I'm a Believer single when I was about 3, and it was all I had. That, the 1812 Overture, and the Black and White Minstrels. And it captivated me, and it reminds me of being young, and it reminds me of fun and fantasy, and it's just joyous. It's just joyous, although I feel a bit crappy after this interview with Peter Talk today. Sherbet Pips or Milk Gums? Rog, are you taking the piss? Milk Gums every single time. Every single time. Waterstones says Radio Rentals, should those shops come back? Yeah, they should, man. We got our BBC Micro from Radio Rentals. We bought it because it was educational. I wanted a Commodore 64. And we got a load of vouchers there to go and buy some more shit games, including Daredevil Dennis, but they sold us the Acorn Electron version. Now, if you've ever played the Acorn Electron version of Daredevil Dennis on a BBC Micro, you'll know it's like nuts fast. Ian, do you know where Verinda is, says Dan? Yeah, she slags me off on Facebook. Jason says, have you heard the FFS album? Do you care? I was thinking about that earlier on. Yeah, I haven't, and I do care. Franz Ferdinand and Sparks. I love Sparks. I think they are just a wonderfully, deliciously bonkers, nuts band, and two of the nicest gentlemen you could ever possibly meet. And pause, restart. So that's kind of it, really. You've made me feel a bit better. I am. Oh no, hang on. There's loads of questions that come through now. In your opinion, says Jeezy Creasy, what's the all-time best song to start a radio show with? Oh man, the all-time best. I don't know. It's just whatever the vibe is that day, isn't it? You know, Twist and Shout's a great one, the Beatles version. It's whatever. The 6 o'clock in the morning, you want to boot up the backside. Really, what do you think about stem cell research? Are the callers into your radio show genuine? Surely they can't be that soft, says Jackie. They're all genuine. Apart from Barry from Watford, they're all genuine. Would you rather, Louise? Would you rather be able to have sex but also be mute, or be able to talk but never have sex? Could I masturbate? Carl says, have you ever danced with the devil in a pale moonlight? Many, many times. Simon says, if you could be one of the monkeys, which one would you be and why? Mike, I like sideburns. Dan says, would you ever go back to LBC? Yeah. Yeah, I'd love to. I wouldn't be allowed to go and do the show that I used to do there, which is good. Richard, did you complete any Spectrum games back in the day? No, I'm never really one for completing games. Hang on. Oh. I'm never really good at completing games. I kind of get bored and disinterested. Like I am with this conversation. Hey, leave nice comments. I'm going to give away a pair of tickets at some point. So leave nice comments, and the person who leaves the nicest comments might win a pair of tickets to the tour. Tour dates are on iainlee.com, but I'm playing Maidenhead on July the 8th. And there's Whitstable, there's Swindon, there's the Comedia in Brighton, there's the Mac in Birmingham, there's loads of other places as well. Oh man, I've got a feeling it could be the most stupidest idea of my life. Oh, I used to be somebody. Right, let's end the podcast in the usual way, joining me in the Serenity Prayer, using the word God as you do or do not understand it. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Thank you.